How's everybody today? Good. So we had a good work week last week. Really tried to emphasize with the players, what are you going to attach yourself to for the upcoming challenges for the rest of the season. Great time to do a little, self-assessment of what we need to do to get a little more consistent execution, whether it's individual players, systematically on offense, defense, special teams. So we really need to come together as a team versus good opponent. And that's obviously going to be really important for this game versus LSU, who right now is probably playing as well as anybody in the country. They're very well coached. This game has always got, significant implications. They're always ranked. We're always ranked. So it's kind of a rivalry game that is always a really important matchup. Brian Kelly has done an outstanding job there, bringing this team along, improving each week. Jaden Daniels is one of the most productive quarterbacks in the country with his ability to run the ball, rush the ball, a very effective, efficient passer. They've got really good running backs. Got a whole core of receivers who have 20 or more catches that all do a good job in terms of getting open, catching the ball, run after catch, very good systematic scheme on offense. Their defense is allowing like 21 points a game, which is, one of the tops in the country. They're aggressive. They got good rushers. They're athletic. They've got good cover guys in the secondary, and they've got good skill guys on special teams. Their specialists are very, very good. So very challenging game all the way around for us, and we're going to have to do a great job of paying attention to detail, preparing for the game so that we can get more consistent execution and play for 60 minutes in the game.
We'll start with Michael, left middle.
Yeah, in that self-assessment, what was your diagnosis for the inconsistencies within your running game?
Well, it's obviously wasn't very good in the last game. Needs to improve, and I think there's a couple things. We have to have a little more diversity in what we're doing, as well as being able to execute it a little better on a more consistent basis.
Over here for Chase.
Is there anything new on availability for DJ Dale or Jaheim Otis?
Yeah, I think both guys are going to start back to practice this week. We'll kind of, determine how they do during the course of the week and what their availability will be when the game comes.
Come back over here to Charlie.
With Eli Ricks, what kind of progress did he make leading up to that Mississippi State game? And do you think he maybe gained confidence from what he was able to do in that game?
Yeah, I think so. I think, fundamentally, we worked really hard to get Eli to understand the expectation for what we want him to do, to have a good understanding of the scheme, of how we're playing and what we're playing. And I think he's developed confidence, throughout the season as he's learned more and gotten more comfortable. And I think he played well in the last game, so hopefully he can build on that. But I think it's important that he just, goes into this game and bees himself and doesn't think he has to do something fantastic just because he's playing against the team he used to play for. I think that's always important psychologically, the guys to be able to focus on what's in front of them and, do their job well.
Back on the left with Mike Rodak.
What are some of the characteristics that Brian brought over from Notre Dame, and what was so challenging about some of those Notre Dame teams you played?
Well, they're always very well coached. They're always physical. This will be a physical game. They always have balance on offense. They're going to run the ball. They've got a very good throwing scheme. Utilize the personnel that they have, very, very well. And, they've historically played really well on defense and special teams. So it's typical of what a well-coached team, usually does. And they've gotten to the point where, and all of his teams have been this way, they don't beat themselves. You got to execute and beat them, and I think that's got to be the focus, for our team.
Right here with Nick.
How would you evaluate the way your defense has defended quarterbacks who can pass and run well?
Well, I think that it's very challenging to play against quarterbacks who, are dual threat type of guys. And this is obviously going to be a big challenge for us. And I think that it's something that the emphasis has to be on all 11 guys really doing what they need to do, whether it's pass rush lanes, whether it's how you cover people, keeping contained in the quarterback, kind of trying to keep him in the pocket. Even when he steps up, you can retrace the rush. So, there's a lot of elements to doing this that you just can't rush and think you're going to go get a sack and get pushed by the quarterback, and then he's going to end up having lanes to run in. So all these things have got to be real points of emphasis for us all week long, so that we have a chance to contain a guy that's a very good passer, but he's also can beat you with his feet.
How much do you enjoy the stage and the atmosphere of playing at Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night?
Well, it's a great, they got a great tradition there. They got a great atmosphere. It's always challenging to play on the road, in this league anywhere you play. And obviously this is one of the more challenging places. So all the more reason to have great focus and attention to detail. And, we can't beat ourselves. We got to be able to have enough poise to be able to execute in this kind of environment, not let it affect us in terms of how we go about one play at a time and how we want to execute and get things done.
Up front here with Tony.
What makes your defense so challenging for defensive backs to kind of pick up? And then from Eli Ricks' standpoint, how much from a mental progression have you seen since he joined the team in December?
Well, I've talked about how he progressed through the course of the year. I don't really think that our defense is that complicated to pick up. But I think it's a challenge for any new player coming in to learn any new system. So, we play zone, we play man, we play pattern match man, which is what most people play. So I don't see why it is more difficult. Every player sort of develops at his own pace. And, sometimes when guys have played in other systems, they sort of got to recalibrate what they already know to what they're, trying to learn. So that can be a challenge for some players as well.
On the left with Mason.
I know you talked about how the team got in good work last week, but how do you think it helps the team with having a weekend of not having a game to get a chance to kind of renew that spirit for the last stretch of the season?
Well, you never know how a bye week's going to affect a team. Hopefully, gave us a chance to get some guys healthy. I think psychologically it gives you a chance to sort of recalibrate a little bit, get a little break. But it's still going to come down to what I said earlier about, what are you attaching yourself to? That means what's going into your head. Are you thinking about the internet, what other people think? Are you thinking about, the self-gratification you get from being productive and doing a good job? So the focus is so important, I think, regardless of whether you're coming off a bye week or you're playing week in and week out, to be able to sustain that, recapture it, regain it, momentum, whatever you want to call it. It's important to do in a game, it's important to do in the season, and it's important to do when you come off a bye week.
Okay, I've got a follow-up here with Charlie, and that'll be it.
You talked about how LSU is playing as well as anyone right now. Is it a little impressive to see how their players have kind of adjusted to a new system?
Is that mic not working, or? I'm sorry.
How about now? Can you hear me better now?
Oh, that's better.
Okay, cool. You talked about LSU playing as well as anyone right now. Is it kind of impressive to see how quickly their players have adjusted to that new system under Brian Kelly so quickly?
Well, I think when, good coaching is good teaching. And I think when you have good teaching, players, do adapt and they do improve and they do adjust. And, the team's playing with, a lot more discipline and they're, really focused on what they have to do. I think they believe in each other, and I think they believe and trust in the coaching staff that they have, and that's why they've made the progress that they made.
All right, Coach, that's all we got.
All right, thank you.